Welcome back to Sacred Stones. This is Chapter 5X, where we have a brief side mission with Ephraim and company before we go back to Eirika. And we have 4 new units to talk about, starting with Ephraim. Ephraim has very solid bases, and in vanilla Sacred Stones, he is one of the better combat lords in the series. In 0% growths, I mean, I've been talking about, the limitations of people's bases, but I will say that I think I've been overselling that a little bit. Like, looking at the enemy growth rates, it seems like they're not as steep as I would have feared, and so I think I've been underselling, like, how long characters are going to be viable for, and when you combine that with his obviously good bases, I think Ephraim could be viable pretty late into the game, particularly if we can get him to promotion. And speaking of that, I will just throw out a reminder, leave a comment if you want input into which of the paths I take for the route split, because that'll have some impact on, Ephraim's ability to get to his promotion. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, if you compare Ephraim to some of the other characters we have right now, like, he's a little slower. Well, he's 3 points slower than Joshua, which is substantial, but at the same time, 11 speed is plenty enough to double most enemies. He's got the same strength as Joshua. He's got more defense. His defense is like a little bit more than Fran's. A couple points less than Gilliam. He's got pretty high skill. Again, not as high as Joshua, but still higher than most characters. His HP and con are a little on the low side. Well, his con is on the low side, like, for a lance user. But fortunately for him, as far as the con is concerned at least, he's got the Reagan Leaf, which only weighs 8 anyway, and is a really good weapon. It's as powerful as a steel lance, instead of being, like, less powerful than a steel sword a la the rapier, but it has the same effect as the rapier. So it's a really good personal weapon, and it's one of the things that's going to ensure Ephraim is a valuable contributor. Then we've got his Cavalier buddies, starting with Kyle. So Kyle is like movement and speed faster version of Gilliam, in that he's got 9 strength and 9 defense like Gilliam does. So that's really nice. His speed, while he is faster than Gilliam, his speed is nothing to write home about. 7 speed isn't going to double much of anything at this point. I mean, Franz was doubling with it against the monsters, but that's in part due to monsters the Revenants being notably slow. But in general, he's he might be able to double soldiers, but that'd be about it. Normally in vanilla, Franz is better because of his higher availability, but here obviously Kyle has strictly or probably strictly better bases. And he's also level 5, so he would be a reasonable candidate for training if you were joining Eirika's party right now. As it stands, I'm not sure that he will be by the time he actually joins permanently, but we'll see. And then we've got Ford, who is 1 point of speed faster than Kyle, and also has 2 more skill, but does have 2 less strength, 1 less defense, 1 less HP, and 1 less con. The con point means that if he's wielding any weapon that weighs 10 or more, including the weapons he starts with, the steel sword and the javelin, that he isn't actually any faster than Kyle. So that's a little unfortunate. And generally, he is considered to be the worst of the 2 in vanilla. Though the fact that he is 1 level higher means that he might be a little bit more worth training than Kyle, just because it won't take as much time to get him to promotion. Though again, you'll just have to see what the situation is when they join permanently. But yeah, because of the con difference, we're going to be trading weapons around a little bit, and I'll get into that later when I get there. But meanwhile, let's talk about Orson. So obviously Orson leaves after this chapter, so he's he's very, very powerful, and he's going to get a lot done in this chapter, and then that'll be it for him. In this chapter, he can with his very strong bases, he's 1 point speed slower than Seth, but he's got more strength and defense, and he will be capable of one-rounding any enemy on the map, provided he's got the right weapon equipped and doesn't get bad RNG. In practice, he's not going to be one-rounding everything because he might be carrying Ephraim around, or he might have the wrong weapon equipped, or what have you. But I mean, he's certainly very, very, very strong, and he's going to be the main unit we're going to use to complete this chapter efficiently. So, speaking of which, the plan in general is to have Orson come up here, swing around, come down here, swing around here, come up here, and just kill everything in his path. Meanwhile, Kyle and Ford are going to drop Ephraim in front of this guy who has a door key, and then one of them is going to trade for the door key and open the door. Well, I should just say Kyle. I know it's Kyle. And then Kyle's going to come in here, fight this guy, get the chest key, grab this chest, which is Killer Lance. Meanwhile, Ford is going to trade his javelin to Orson, who's going to take this guy out, and he's going to come up and trade for that chest key, come back around and open this chest, which has the elixir. And then after that, they'll just kind of run along behind and probably won't ever catch up, but they don't really need to. Yeah, and then Ephraim, once he takes this guy out, is going to pretty quickly head back the other direction and get rescued at some point by Orson, and carried along so that we can get to the throne in a reasonable amount of time. Anyway, so we start this grand adventure with Orson coming up and taking this guy out. And then we want to rescue drop Ephraim in front of this Armor Knight. So start with Kyle doing that, and then we come up and trade like so. Take Ephraim, drop him here. Oh, I actually forgot. This guy... Okay, yeah. If this guy has 3 speed instead of 4, then Ford can actually double him with the Javelin, which is worth doing so that we can just, if that's the case, it makes sense to park Ford here and clear him out, but he can't, so he just comes around here. Alright, so now this guy is too fast to be doubled by the Cavaliers, so Ephraim's going to take him out. But before we do that, we're going to have Kyle come up and trade for the door key and equip his steel sword and open the door, and then come in here and prepare to engage this guy. Then Ephraim is going to come over and finish this guy off. Boom. Then we're going to have Ford come over and trade the Javelin to Orson. He's also going to take... let's see. Yeah, actually, never mind. Scratch what I was about to say. But then he's going to come around here. The reason being, Orson's going to come up here and javelin this guy. Ford is going to want to grab the chest key from him that this guy is holding and then run back this way next turn. But we don't want these guys to swing around and surround Ford and prevent him from being able to run back. So that's why we're doing that. Chest key. And we got lucky with that Orson was able to take out that fighter. Interesting that guy went after Orson. I'm not sure if he's just trying to block or what the deal is with that exactly, but Alright, so Kyle's gonna come up here, finish this guy off, get the chest key, and the next turn he'll open that up. Meanwhile, Ford is going to come over here, trade for the chest key, and actually, yeah, he will grab the Vulnerary from Orson, because 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he only needs to be here to get to the chest, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter that Ford like be able to like move off the chest later, because Kyle, believe it or not, can actually rescue him later. So it doesn't actually matter that if he like is behind. Anyway, so we're gonna come up here with Ephraim. We're gonna trade for Vulnerary, so he doesn't have to use the elixir when it's not really necessary. So then we're going to have Orson swing around here. So basically, next turn, this guy is probably going to attack Ephraim. So we're going to have... let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just want Orson basically... well, actually, we'll just... How far can this guy get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yeah. So we'll move to here with Orson, equip the Javelin. So we want to take those two guys out, and then next turn we're going to rescue Ephraim. Ephraim gets a level. Alright. So as mentioned, Ford's going to come over here, open this chest, get the elixir. We're gonna... oh, oops. Get that Killer Lance. The other chest. I'm just going to come up here and use Vulnerary again. And then Orson is going to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually... so this guy is a big threat to Ephraim. What I might want to do... I mean, I'm going to need to rescue Ephraim at some point, and this is where this chapter starts to get tricky, is like the exact timing of that, because like right now I can actually rescue him and not get attacked by anyone and then drop him off next turn. The issue is that like the number of attacks Ephraim potentially ends up taking. But I think if I don't rescue him and I set up to take this guy out, then this guy will move forward too, for what that's worth. That pretty much guarantees that Ephraim will be safe. The question is, like, how many spaces am I moving forward to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm moving further away from Ephraim. So the turn after that, well, of course, he's gonna get bottlenecked by needing to take this guy and this guy out, so maybe that's okay. Ephraim goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then the next turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Orson only has to take a few steps back to rescue him. Yeah, I mean, the risk is then, like, if you have, like, this guy, for instance, come up and hit him while he's rescued and Orson misses or something like that, which I've had stuff like that happen. So no, I think I'm gonna rescue Ephraim now. Yeah, this guy will come around anyway. So Ford is going to come out here, trade for the Killer Lance, because he can actually use that without being slowed down, and he has higher skill than Kyle. And Kyle's going to rescue him. Proceed on down. So meanwhile, I think what we're going to do... I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, actually, Ephraim is guaranteed to be safe here anyway because he can only take the 2 attacks. Sometimes that Cavalier is still alive, depending on how exactly I set it up. But here he's not, so and Ephraim will be able to take out the guy with the axe. It's just that he takes a lot of damage and is not likely to dodge. Alright, so... continue this rescue chain silliness. Orson is gonna come javelin the mage, as I already mentioned. And he'll take out this guy and this guy on enemy phase. Ephraim can actually afford here probably to just come up here and use an elixir, or maybe even a vulnerary. How much do these guys do? 12 and 12. Yeah, with weapon triangle, that's actually, yeah, so only 8 damage total. Yeah. Okay, so he'll just use a vulnerary, so we get him a little bit of experience. And then next turn he gets rescued after he moves up and probably uses another vulnerary or something. If Kyle or Ford can get to him and trade it to him. Or I might just have him use the elixir. Okay, so what turn are we on? We are on turn 7. Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is swap these. This business again, and then Orson is going to equip his silver sword and rescue Ephraim. Now this is where things get a bit RNG-ish. If he misses this guy, it makes a big difference, but he didn't. So now what we can do is we can move Orson all the way in and set him up to attack the boss. And then drop Ephraim next to him. Now, actually wait. No, you know what? Ephraim can't seize until next turn anyway. It's probably better to drop Ephraim here, so that he's on the dodge spots. He'll still be able to do damage to the boss. Oh, and we can even do that. Okay. Or actually, maybe that's worse, because then those other 2 enemies can get to Ephraim. Yeah, I mean, Ephraim has some risk of dying here if you just, like, drop him, like, wherever. Because there's kind of a lot of enemies there, so that is the concern. see, right here we've got just this archer. Yeah, okay. With, yeah. Alright, so that should set us up for Orson being able to finish the boss next turn. So this is turn 9. Yeah, turn 9. 68, 63. Got him. Level up for Orson. Much value. Alright, we'll go ahead and try to take this guy out. So they haven't done much in the way of gaining experience, but we'll have... kill. Probably Ford, just because he's higher level. Okay, and then come here and trade all the weapons to Ephraim. You can have that vulnerary, it's okay. And we seize, and that is Chapter 5X in 9 turns. So next time, we're back with Eirika's party, and we're off to Chapter 6. Until then,